Hey there, Professor O'Kane here. You know, I've been a professor for my entire professional life. I've taught in the university system. I still do. I taught simultaneously in the public school system. I've taught privately. I've taught martial arts privately. Teaching has just been, it's just been really my entire life. I love doing it. I have a passion for it. And I've also, I have experienced a great deal of pain and distress from it as well. Things you want to avoid. No, not all of these things in this top 20 list have happened to me, but they've either happened to me or they've happened to colleagues that I've worked with. So I've seen this stuff firsthand, and it's stuff that you want to avoid at all costs. So why don't we just hit this list right now before it hits us. Tip number 1. Now, you already know what this is. Okay, I know you know what it is. And this is really, really important to mention. Don't have sex with your students. Don't do it. Forget it. Do not bang your students. Now, that might cause you to laugh. That might be a little ho 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 ho. I've seen some hot students before. Let me tell you what this does to you. First of all, if this goes on the social media or the news, to your career, you don't need these problems. You do not need the law in your life. It's not worth it. I mean, I don't really even have to say any more. We've seen it. We've seen it played out over and over and over. And let me tell you, if you're a teacher, there's a very good chance that opportunities might arise and you might want to take advantage of them. Don't do it. It's not worth it. The end. I don't need to say any more about this. Tip number 2. Now, I should mention that these aren't in any particular order. They're all important, and, you know, just go with it. Just right along here. Tip number 2 is be helpful to your department chair. Be helpful to your colleagues. Why should you do that? Because you want to be that guy that people come to. You want to be a team player. Why do you want to be a team player? Well, you like your paycheck. Need I say any more? Okay, now you're not going to get fired for not being a team player, but you can kind of get sandbagged by other people in certain ways. I mean, there could be many different situations. You want to be the person that people come to because you're helpful. Get to know your department chair, get to know your colleagues, get to know the people that you are working near, and they'll help you, because I guarantee you, you're going to end up in a bind at some point and you're going to be needing some additional help. Okay? So be that person. Tip 3, make your guidelines clear to the students. You should set these rules out at the front of the class. Your students should not be surprised by test dates. They shouldn't be surprised by penalties for late work. And I'm telling you, if you're an adjunct professor, you have a bullseye. And the students will definitely take shots at it. The proverbial shots will be, yeah, Professor so-and-so didn't tell me that this test was blah, 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 blah. And then now you have the parents. Now, if you're in the university system, you can't talk with the parents. That's just the rules, right? Because most of the people are above 18 or 18 and older. So you can't talk with the parents. So, you know, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've had a student hand me a phone and they say, here, talk with my father. And I'm like, haha, I can't. But if I could, well, anyways. So make those guidelines clear, make the outcomes clear, and that'll help you plan better, and that'll give your students one less thing that they can complain about. Because trust me, they're going to have tons to complain about even if you do everything right. Tip 4, don't be late. I mean, you would think that if you had a job. I know a particular professor, and I always ask his former students, hey, was this guy ever late to lesson? And just recently I asked a student that, and they said every time. How does this guy still get hired semester after semester after semester? I mean, it boggles my mind. I've also seen people really be taken to task about this by the administration. The students in the universities are paying customers. You need to be there before the class starts. Now, I get it. If the train's late, if you get a puncture in your tire, yeah, you're going to be late. In that case, you need to text ahead. You should have the number of the office where you can text or you can call and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a wee bit late, and that's just the way it's going to be. Whatever, you can explain your situation, and that way you're off the hook. You know, as the old expression goes, shit happens. People get late. People get into accidents. People have all sorts of things go wrong. You don't want to make being late your signature. Okay? If you do, better keep that eye out for a different job. Tip 5. Look good. Look good. All right? This wasn't that big of a deal to put on. It's, you know, it's not Gucci, but who cares? It looks decent. You want to look decent. Why? Well, it says a lot about how you respect yourself. If you respect yourself, yeah, I know you know the end of it. Other people are going to respect you too. And it really does make a statement. You don't have to come dressed like a model. Just look sharp. The students see it, and the students will comment about it too. And if you're dressed up like a pillowcase, they're going to make a comment about that too. Students who make comments about the way you're dressed are also doing something else. They're testing you. They want to see how tough you actually are. Can you take the jabs? How do you respond? And what does all that mean? Are you strong or are you weak? If you're weak, they are going to steamroll all over you and try and take advantage in any way, shape, or form possible. I've experienced that. It doesn't hurt to have a few sharp quips that are not insulting, that are funny, and you can easily diffuse that situation. So, look sharp. Number 6, prepare your lessons. If you're teaching guitar, you should know the trajectory of where you want your student to go. If you're teaching whatever the topic is, you should know where the class is going. The class will know, or the individual student is going to know if you're not prepared. And guess what? If you're not prepared, rumor is going to spread around and you're going to be the unprepared teacher. And guess where that's eventually going to go to? The administration. It just works that way. Your goal is to fly under the radar and to be that source of inspiration for students. Okay? Get that into your noggin. Number 7, you rep the school 24/7. If you teach at a university, you rep that university 24/7. If you teach in a public school system, you rep that public school system 24/7. That means if you go out to the pub and get totally you don't want to be on social media with like that teacher with this particular face. That's not a good look. That does not bode well for your employment. That's something that's very hard for people to get. I've seen teachers with their school emblem on their shirt go do the most lunatic stuff. And I've seen that come right back at them. It ain't a good look. Also, those teachers aren't employed where I'm employed anymore. Okay, number 8. Make sure that you can demonstrate what you're trying to teach. If you're a music teacher and you're trying to show somebody on the guitar what you want your student to do and you can't do it, that is going to spread like wildfire. If you're an adjunct faculty member at a university, this is not going to be good because one person talks and yeah, this is not going to work well for you. Tip 9. this is going to really make a lot of sense to you. Be patient. Be patient. If you think you're patient, then you're probably not patient enough. I mean, you really need to exercise this muscle. You need to be able to turn down the frustration meter. I would imagine like a potentiometer with the word frustration written over it, and I would be turning it down from 10 down, trying to get it past 7 to go lower, because you need to be able to help your students, and you need to be able to help the worst of your students, and they are going to try your patience. Also, there are other times that they're going to try your patience, and you cannot blow up. If you blow up, that means you're weak. Yeah, you might think that losing your temper is going to, no, you're weak. And guess what? The students now have your number, and they're going to keep playing on that. Not to mention, they're going to talk about it and laugh about it, and it's going to get back to the administration, and it's the whole avalanche of crap that is going to be served in the form of a large cake on your lap. Number 10, don't show up drunk or high or pilled up to your job. Do you think that people won't be able to tell if you've had one beer? You know, I heard this expression from an old martial arts teacher of mine. He said, 1 beer smells like 6. And it does. Nobody's going to be able to tell that you just didn't have 12 pints. If you only had half of one, they could smell it. It's not a good look. If you have a prescription for medical marijuana and you're in your car hotboxing it, and you come in smelling like a weed field, no, don't do it. I mean, you could do it if you don't care about your job. Number 11, guys, come prepared. Don't be borrowing gear from your colleagues. Okay, so we all forget stuff. We forget our laptop. We forget our guitar cables. We forget our protractor. We forget all sorts of things. Once in a while, I get it. It's okay. But you know what? Don't be that person who's constantly borrowing stuff. Borrowing tuners. Borrowing guitar cable. I need a strap. Oh, I forgot my amplifier. Oh, I forgot my projector. I forgot my... Yeah, that's not going to work. No. Number 12, be available for your students. If you're at a university, a lot of people have come in from out of town and they don't know the place. They might need their car repaired. They might need their teeth repaired. They might need to go get some new glasses because their friend who was drunk stepped on them. Yeah. Have a number where they could text you that isn't your personal number. You can get a Google number or an email that is specifically for when a student needs help. Let them know that you're there for them. They're going to like you for it a lot. Number 13, know that somebody is reading the evaluations that the students fill out. Again, if you're teaching in the university where they do have evaluations, the administration reads those evaluations. And many times it's not your department chair. That means somebody who doesn't even know you is reading it and thinking, I see that, Joe got all of these. You don't need that. So yeah, people are going to can you. I mean, students are going to can you. They're ruthless. You could be really, really busting your butt and they're ruthless. But you know what? There is a pattern that they look for in the evaluations. If 30% are negative, I'm just choosing a random number, but the administration understands that there's going to be a certain percentage for every class that is going to give the professor a negative evaluation. So that's all right. But if you start getting 60% negative evaluations because you haven't, gotten together some of the points that I mentioned earlier, like you're not prepared, you're constantly borrowing stuff, you don't know which way the student is going, you're just like showing up. Yeah. And I mean just like showing up in the bad sense, showing up, disheveled and not prepared. Okay? So Remember, people read those evaluations, so keep it together. Number 14, understand the limitations of your position. If you're an adjunct professor, your noggin has just hit the ceiling. In many cases, adjunct professorial positions, you ain't going anywhere. All you are is a part-time employee that's going to take care of business. There's not going to be a track for full-time. There's definitely not going to be a tenure track. And how do I know this? Because that's the way most universities are run. Most universities, internationally. So you have to know that your job is probably going to be just that. Unless you're one of the lucky people who have gotten a tenure track position, or if you're working in a public school and there's a track to getting into the administration, if that is your desire. Know the limitations and operate mentally within the limitations of your position. Don't be an adjunct faculty and having delusions of grandeur. You know, I should have known better in my earlier years where I wasn't able to go. So know the limitations, act accordingly, and keep your ears and eyes peeled for the position that you do want. Those positions come along every so often, and they come along to those people who are looking for them. So if you're living in a fantasy about your position, well, you're going to miss those opportunities. 15, be part of the solution, not the problem. Help out your department. If your department has performances, you should be offering your skills. If your department needs help recruiting, you should offer your talents, even if you have no talents in that area, because you know what? You build your resume like that. You build your skills like that. You'll be better for your next job. If we're talking about university, if we're talking about public school, you are solidifying your position. Point 16, a professor or a teacher must continue studying. Forget about the continuing education that they make you do on the job, because a lot of times that is bogus. It doesn't do anything for your skills. It's stuff that they have to make us go through because of regulations and rules and all of that kind of stuff. And it has nothing to do with your personal skills, which you have to keep on the cutting edge. That means you need to be interested. That means you need to be motivated. That means you need to care. That means you need to have some self-respect so you can be good. Okay? There's so many lame-ass teachers and professors. You don't want to be one of them. Number 17, if you're having problems with a student, don't go it alone. Don't try and solve this on your own. You should talk with your department chair immediately. Let them know. Document it. And send it out to as many important people that could help as possible. Now, you don't want to be having a hair trigger and somebody broke a pencil point and you're reporting it to the dean of the school or to the principal or what have you. Don't be that person either. Don't be an alarmist. But you can tell if a student is causing you a particular sort of problem, you need to tell somebody else. Okay? So if you don't do that and you try and go it alone and you end up breaking rules or losing your cool or doing both, get help. If your department chair isn't helping, go above them. It's better to be safe than sorry. Number 18. Yeah, I get it. You're busy. The school's keeping you busy. You need to be busier. Hello? You need to be busier. You need to gig. You need to publish. You need to create. You need to be that teacher people talk about. You're probably thinking, well, why am I going to kill myself over this job? Well, maybe because the job pays your bills. Do you see what I'm saying? Also, if you're an artist, you need to do something to be relevant. You need to be relevant. It requires resources. It requires time. It requires focusedness. It requires, again, self-respect. When you do that, what do you think happens? People respect you. Number 19 is for my adjunct professors out there. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for the other job. Why? I know you love it where you work. I get it. I've been there. But that only has a shelf life. It has a ceiling. You need to be looking for other positions. That doesn't mean you have to leave where you're working right now. But you know that you've pretty much reached the top upon walking in for the first time. So if you're fine with that, grand. If not, then keep your eye out for the next position. Number 20, divorce yourself from the emotions that you have when grading. There might be this one little shithead that you want to fail, but guess what? They're doing B work. The way I see it is, who cares? They're doing B work. All I am is a conduit. They're doing B work. I'm going to give them a good grade. Now, a lot of times you have somebody who's like teetering on the edge and they're giving you a really hard time. There is a problem that's going to arise if you let your emotions start dictating which letter you click. Because if you click a letter and if you give them a grade that they don't deserve, they're coming back. It's going to be the boomerang you wish you didn't throw. Now, just as an aside, I had a student who earned a B. And guess what she did? She came back and complained to the administration and was saying that she deserved an A. Well, it was a very, very good thing that I had written down everything, every grade, including when she was acting like a total you-know-what. I had all of that documented. So when she came back to me and she's like, why don't I have that A? I said, well, you know what? Give me a day to get all my notes together. When I presented her with all of the evidence, guess what happened? The complaint went bye-bye, and so did she. Okay, guys, so those are the 20 tips, but don't think I'm going to leave you high and dry because you're going to get the bonus round now. So there's 6 points in the bonus round that I'm going to give to you. So point number 1 is use your position to your advantage. If you work at a university, get your name on some letterhead, get it on some business cards. I was able to get my name on business cards with the school's moniker or the school's emblem and, made me look really good. And I had a lot of pride. First of all, I had a lot of pride in my position, and it was nice to be able to hand out that card to people because there's a bit of clout involved. And it's clout that you actually earn because they didn't just let you into the position because you suck at what you do. Bonus round, point 2. Do not skip meetings. Show up to the meetings. You have to. First of all, it's required in most cases. But if you start having excuses for every meeting, well, it's not going to be too long before you are going to have a nice wee conversation with the administration. Number 3, don't cancel lessons. Don't cancel lessons. Don't cancel tutoring. Don't cancel lessons. Don't cancel classes. I mean, if you can help it, don't do any of that stuff because you're back on the admin's radar, but also you start getting a reputation as a lame ass. Bonus round, point number 5. Don't go out drinking or partying with your students. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're getting too close to trouble. Now, I know people who are like, yeah, I was at this tavern or I was at this pub or whatever, this festival, and I saw my students. Yeah, we were having beers on everything was brilliant. We were partying and it was so much fun. You're like one of the great Wallendas, and you know how many of them survived, right? If you see students at one of your favorite pubs, you could say hi. If they come over to you and talk, hi, you can give them a little vibe that you're doing your own thing and they're not invited to hang out with you, because it's not too many steps removed from that somebody can take a picture of you. I mean, they'll probably think, oh yeah, Professor so-and-so or Mr. so-and-so is here. Yeah, they're going to post the picture, and then you need to explain that one. How are you going to explain that one? Like, oh, you went there and they happened to be there at the same time? Yeah, it's going to be tough. You're going to want to, but don't do it. Okay, bonus round point number 5. Don't hang out with your students. You know, there's an interesting phenomenon that happens when you're spending so much time with your students. You start to see them as like friends. They're not. They're not your friends. And if they're under the age of 25, their brain is still developing. How about that? That means they're unpredictable. That means your guard is, you've dropped your guard, and you're with an individual who is essentially not predictable. In other words, if you do something that they don't like, they could easily turn on you. I know, this happened to me. I was trying to help out this one person, and this one person was all friendly until they weren't. And then I had a lot of problems, and I had to explain myself to the administration. It was not fun, and it was something I wish I had avoided. And that brings me up to bonus round point number 6. And this is super important. And that is, you might be working in an environment where nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. There might be one person, there might be no people. There might be an environment of rule breaking from the department chair all the way down. Okay, so you are going to look out for yourself better than anybody else will. So there you have it. I broke it down for you, and I hope you found this not only interesting, you might have gotten a few laughs out of it. And if you're in the profession, hopefully this is going to help save your butt. Okay, nobody told me all this stuff. Nobody. I was in many cases, I was amongst people who were veteran teachers that they just did not follow rules, and they were happy-go-lucky, free, doing whatever they wanted, and I did the same. But because I was new and I wasn't protected, you know, I took it on the chin, and I learned some very hard lessons. I'm hoping that you won't have to go through what I went through, and that you can have a very successful career. So if you like this video, not only would you share it, but please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you next time.